morning and welcome to EU Datathon 2022, to the first webinar to present you the data on what you can compete on in the competition. I would like to welcome you. My name is Simon Steuer. I work in the publications office, and here with me are today Maria Apostolou, Julia Zakotska, and Agnieszka Jacicek. We are basically the team behind the competition. And if you have any questions, we are always the one who try to help you. What I would like to do in the first few minutes is to explain you the competition, where to find what, and then our guest, Laura Zambelli, will present you the TED data. So everything you need to know about the competition is on the EU Datathon website. You have here two big buttons, one for webinars, which leads you to YouTube. And if you are not sure which data to use or which challenge would be interesting for you, we did many webinars in the past where experts explain their data sets in more detail, and there you can find inspiration. And if you say, I want to do this certain subject, you click on submit your idea, and it's a very simple survey where you tell us which challenge or which challenges you would like to compete, your team name, you explain your team members, and in the end, you describe your app in a one-page document. So, what should you do to compete in the competition? Everything you need to know is at the bottom of the website in the rules. So, we have 4 challenges this year about the Green Deal, transparency, public procurement, and a Europe fit for the digital age. For challenge 1, you can use any data set which fits the topic of environment and combine it with another data set. For challenge 2 and 3, it's the TED data set with another data set. This one we will present today. And the 4th challenge is a quite open challenge where you can basically use any data set you like and develop it. What is new compared to the previous EU Datathons? So still you submit a one-page document until 31st of March. And we will announce the pre-selection teams on 25th of April. But this year we have a new step in between, which means here 6 teams will be selected. And in the next stage, you will submit a real slide deck where you have had a bit of chance to develop the app or to think more about the app. And from those 6 teams, we go down to 3 teams per challenge. And those teams will be invited to the final event. But all of the 6 teams will get a prize, so no work is done for free. And when we look at the most interesting part for you, which is the prizes, we see for each challenge, the first prize gets 25,000 euro, and the teams which didn't make it to the last stage, they still get 1,000 euros each. So the total prize funding is at a record level of 200,000 euros this year. And if you have any questions about the competition, you can always contact us on this email address. And with that, I would like to give the floor to Laura.
Thank you, Simon. Good morning, everyone. I will share my screen and start with the presentation. So, so today I will talk to you about TED, Tenders Electronic Daily, and its link with the EU Datathon 2022. So today we will briefly see what is TED and what notices must be published on TED. Why is the publication of procurement important? Why is the role of OP, the publications office, important? We'll see TED data and the EU Datathon challenges. TED website's main features. I will spend a few words on TED Open Data, TED Data Model, and the TED data on the official portal for European data. Then we will see briefly together what could be done with the data and which other data sources could be linked. So let's start. What is TED? TED stands for Tenders Electronic Daily, and it is the online version of the supplement to the official journal of the EU. The Publications Office mandate is to publish notices for procurement procedures of public authorities and notices of EU institutions, agencies, and bodies. TED provides free access to business opportunities from the European Union, the European Economic Area, and beyond. The notices are published 5 times a week from Monday to Friday at 9 a.m. in the 24 EU official languages. In some cases, machine translation is also available. This means that on average, TED publishes 2,400 notices per edition, which means more than 622,000 notices per year. Let's see now together the responsibility of the Publications Office in public procurement and of the Commission in general. So the GGRO, which is the Directorate General for Internal Market, Industry, Entrepreneurship and SMEs, deals with the public procurement directives, the standard forms, and the CPV, the Common Procurement Vocabulary. The Publications Office has the mandate of publishing the public procurement notices. So the publication process involves, of course, TED, Tenders Electronic Daily, and allows registered users to download the XML version of notices either in bulk or individually, but we will see this more in detail later on. So what kind of notices must be published on TED? So you have, first of all, notices from the countries of the public procurement network, meaning EU member states, candidate countries, EEA countries, and Switzerland. Second, notices from EU institutions, agencies, and other bodies. And third, the notices for projects financed by the European Investment Bank, the European Investment Fund, the European Central Bank, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and the External Aid and European Development Fund, the so-called ACP countries. So who publishes on TED? As you can see, mainly member states for the 91%, which means that 91% of notices come from member states. Then we have countries of the European Economic Area, followed by government procurement agreement countries, and EU institutions and other bodies, international organization for the 0.74%, followed in turn by candidate countries and other. Let's see some numbers together. TED is available 24/7, free of charge, and more than 47 million notices are consulted each year, which means that 23 million searches are performed on the website every year, resulting in more than 8 million visits. There are almost 4 million of news alert emails set up each year, and we have 35,000 active registered users. Let's see together briefly the procurement notices publication workflow. So first of all, the contracting authorities send the notices to OP using standard forms and via applications such as e-notices or via e-senders or TED web services. Notices are then received and checked by the OJS production team. They are sent to a contractor for processing, which means the preparation for publication and in some cases the translation, specifically notices from EU institutions. Then they are verified and validated by the OP production team before the publication, and then finally notices are published on TED. As you can see, we have a representation of what I just explained. On the left side, we have notices that come in through either e-notices or eSend tool, TED monitor and the provider that process the notices, and then the publication on TED. As you can see from the right-hand side, vendors, auditors, and reusers can all access TED. And as you would notice in the upper part, we have also TED e-tendering, which is the platform where procurement documents of European institutions are published. So the TED family, as we call it, as you understand, Publications Office maintain certain systems for the publication of procurement notices, namely the CMAP website, where you can find information on public procurement and the various systems. For the reception of notices, we have e-notices and listen tool. For the preparation, TED Monitor and our external contractor. For the publication of notices, we have TED, and for the call for tenders publication of EU institutions, agencies, and bodies, we have TED e-tendering. So, why is procurement important? As you know, procurement means money, and a lot of it. Public procurement in Europe amounts to 2 trillion euros per year, and the public procurement in TED amounts to about 545 billion per year. So why is this publication important? We need to make sure it's transparent, that it ensures competition, that there's an equal treatment, that we make efficient use of public money, we promote business, and also that spending is monitored and controlled. And this, in turn, helps fighting corruption, fraud, and waste. But why specifically is this publication important for the EU? Well, it fits with its objectives. So, public investment, growth, strategic investment, boosting the internal market, trade, research, and ethics. Let's see now together the TED data and the EU Datathon challenges. So, I will talk specifically about challenge number 2 and 3. Challenge number 2 is transparency in public procurement. Transparency in public procurement helps track how public money is spent, combat fraud, and analyze economic and market trends. For example, you can check the contract award notices to see who got a certain contract. And in the example on the right-hand side, you can see, you can check out who is buying what. So you can search for the buyers. Challenge number 3, EU public procurement opportunities for young people. We would like you to focus on the personal, social, and professional development of young people. For example, here, as example of searches, you can see, you can run the search with youth in the free text. Or I highlighted some CPV codes dealing with services provided by youth associations or research and development in general. Let's see together some TED data websites main feature. So you have the browse by topic functionality. For example, you can browse by business opportunities, by business sector, by place of delivery, and by buyer. You have the search functionality, which includes the quick search, the advanced search, and the expert search. We will see more of this together later on. You have the search results functionality, which allows the display and navigation of documents. You can save your search up to 25 search profiles. This could be very useful for you. You can customize your preferences and subscribe and receive documents through RSS feeds and news alerts. And now, instead of showing slides, I would like to guide you through a live exploration of TED. So I will stop sharing for 1 second and then share again. Yes, as you can see here, we have TED. This is the homepage of the Tenders Electronic Daily. On the left, you can see the OJS current issue with today's date, and the next update is for the 21st of February. If you click on the release calendar, you would see when during the current year all issues will be published. You have then the opportunity to browse by business opportunity, business sector, CPV, NUTS, MEP, and buyer. And here you have the advanced search and the expert search. So let's click on the advanced search. For example, let's say that we are interested in the contract notices with place of performance in France. and type of contract, services. I click on OK. As you can see, we have many other fields that we can fill in. And then I want to show you also how to switch to expert mode here. This will be useful later on. So remember this. And I run the search. As you can see, among the search results, I have several pages, and these are all notices. We have the document number on the left, a brief description of the notice, so the type of buyer, notice type of procedure, etc. We have the country, the publication date, and the deadline. Let's pick the first. This is an example of a contract notice. As you can see, there are several sections, contracting entity, the object, the terms of to apply, etc. Notices are published in the original language, plus a summary when notices come from member states, and they are translated in all 24 EU languages when they are published by EU institutions. Now I also want to show my dashboard. Here you see I'm logged in. In my dashboard, you can save your search. For example, here I have two saved searches. One is about IT and software, and the other is about research in Germany. I can set up email reminders if I want by clicking on actions. I can also edit the query or delete it. And in the lower part of the screen, you see my notices. These are the notices I'm following. What does it mean? It means that I will be informed of via email when something related to that notice is published. For example, a contract award notice or a corrigenda. So this is a way to specifically find and follow a notice. You can also see the last viewed notices. They are saved here. Okay, I will now go back to my presentation. So I will stop sharing and share again. This we have seen. Okay, let's briefly talk about TED Open Data. As I told you, all notices are published in the XML format, and they can be freely reused according to a Commission decision. The notices can be downloaded in bulk from the website for registered users only. The XML packages of the daily and monthly editions from 2012 can be accessed at the URL link you see. The presentation will be shared with you. And from the FTP XML packages of the daily and monthly editions from 1993. Data can also be accessed through our APIs using the REST method. We have the TED website API, which is used to get notice data. There you have the link to the Swagger user interface. You can combine different criteria and retrieve specific information. The search query is the one used for the expert search I showed you before. We recommend to use the version 2 of the API, where the API key is optional. For details, see the API documentation, and you have the link in the presentation. The second API is the TED Notice Viewer API, which can be used to render a notice in PDF or HTML in a specific language based on the content of a notice in XML. Here you have the link to the Swagger user interface, the API documentation, and we recommend to use version 1. For more information on OP APIs related to TED and European public procurement, check our Developers Corner on TED CMAP. There you have the link. A few words about the TED data model. The TED XML schemas used for the notices and the corresponding documentation are available on the EU Vocabularies website. And again, here you can find the URL link for the XML bulk download for registered users. Just some data, we have almost 100,000 downloads per month. So quite the traffic. It's entered in JSON lists. So you can also retrieve published call for tenders from EU institutions and agencies via JSON list. You can obtain a list of calls as it is published on the e-tendering website. The list provides basic information on each call and can be filtered by name of the contracting authority, status of the call, language. And for details, again, here you have the link. Let's see now the TED data on the official portal for European data, data.europa.eu, because a subset of data from notices published on the TED website is also available as a dataset on the official portal for European data. So what could be done with the data? You could, for example, answer the question, who buys what, from whom, when, where, for how much, and according to which procedure. You can make public tenders more transparent, and for inspiration, we suggest you to check these websites: DigiWist, Europam, Monitoring EU Tenders, Open Tender. These are all examples of recent projects in the context of transparency in public procurement. So, which other data sources could be linked to the TED dataset? For example, you can link TED data to the financial transparency system, which, as you can see, is a way for you to track beneficiaries of grants or contracts. For more information, you can contact us via email or you can follow us on Twitter. And now, space to your questions. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks a lot, Laura. So just two side notes. This webinar will be, of course, available on YouTube in case you want to see certain parts again. And the slide deck will also be available for you to check it out for the certain links, etc. And now we kick it off for questions, and you can put them in the chat box. And I see the first one comes from Maria. Is a corpus of TED notice tags also available as a data set?
What do you mean, Maria, with corpus of TED notice texts? Can you please rephrase the question?
Yes, hi. I was wondering if they, all the texts from the notices are available as a TXT, let's say, file, so that people could perform maybe, language automation processes on them.
I know that they are available in the XML and CSV and HTML formats. I'm not sure about TXT formats, but I can check and come back to you if it's okay for you. Sure, thanks.
So another question, can you give examples of end user personas?
An example could be a small business based in Italy interested in IT services. So I imagine this small business would set up alerts on IT services opportunities either in Italy or in the neighboring countries, and to be able to be informed when a new notice with those characteristics is published. So yes, this business could set up search alert and be advised by email.
Thanks. Linus is asking, what information is available after a contract has been awarded?
Well, here we have the contract award notice, which means a notice containing several information about the award of the contract. So typically you would have the person or company who won the contract, for how much, who is the buyer also, because you have reference to that, and other details. But the focus of the contract award notice is who got the contract and for how much.
Great. So there's a question about the teams, what we expect. Maybe I take that one. So in general, our teams are rather young, and I would say most of them are students or data professionals, but they are quite diverse. So we have data journalists, we have people who are also in school, anyone who's really interested in data and has a great idea basically can can start. And in the beginning, you only need to have this one-page document, so you don't even need to start to code. It's just about thinking which data sets could I combine with another one to solve a certain problem. And the next question comes again from Linus. Is it just who was awarded and for what price?
So I actually was checking a contract award notice on TED because I didn't remember exactly which section. So you have the contracting authority, the object, so the scope of the procurement, the CPV code, a short description of the contract, the information about lots, if any, the value of the procurement, the place of performance, and then again some description of the procurement and the award criteria. So what were the criteria used to award the contract? Then you have information about the use or not use of European Union funds, information about the procedures, so is it an open procedure, restricted, etc. You also have information about tenders, like how many tenders were received, how many from SMEs, from member states, etc. And then some information about the contractor, so the official name, the postal address, etc. And yes, that's it. This is the information.
What do you think are the biggest current issues for abuse of the tendering contract system?
That's a very nice question. Is it possible for you, Paul, to rephrase it? What do you mean? Abuse of the tendering contracting system. Maybe let's take the next question while
if you can also type it again in the chat.
Sure, yes.
Daniel is asking, are the tender document specifications also available or only the notices?
So if they are available, so in the cases of EU institutions, agencies and bodies, typically you would have a link to the platform TED Tendering where you would find detailed procurement documents, but contracting authorities different from the EU institutions can, of course, have their own platforms for updating the procurement documents. But if they have, you will find the link in the notice. So if there is something you would know from reading the notice.
Maria's asking, you mentioned automatic translation. Is automatic translation also covered for member states' notices?
Yes. Automatic translation covers notices from member states. You can switch the language of the user interface in the upper right corner, and if the notice is not translated in the language you're looking for, there is a link right above the notice title called Request a New Translation. Then you enter the language you're interested in, the format, which, if I'm not wrong, is HTML or PDF. And then you receive the translation via email. When a person requested a translation, it is available for everyone. So if someone 2 days later than you wants to check the same notice in the same language, this person will find it on TED directly.
And Paul rephrased it. What kind of problems have been identified relating to corruption and malpractice?
This is a very big question. Well, actually, it's, I would say, I'm not trying to dodge the question, but I would like to say that it's actually one of the challenges of this year's Datathon to find how transparency can combat fraud, corruption, and malpractice. So there are instruments in place, but we're also looking for, let's say, inspiration from you. I hope this answers your question, Paul.
Maybe to add on this, TED is only the platform to publish. So then there's other agencies which are involved, for example, the Court of Auditors, who checks that institutions are doing everything okay. And then if there's really fraud involved, then Olaf would take action. And they are really like a police agency who can do investigations. On our side, we just publish what comes.
And Olaf uses TED data. So I know they use it, and it's very interesting for them, indeed.
And Declan is asking, how far can we access tenders?
So it's data can be downloaded starting from 1993. as I said before, but it's all in the presentation. So via FTP, you can download data from 1993 onwards. So quite some time ago.
I think that was the last question. In case someone wants to type, they can do it now. And I just want to sum it up and say, really check out the TED data set. I think it's very underappreciated because it covers basically 25% of the European GDP, which is crazy. We talk a lot about certain companies, but never about our municipalities, our states, our agencies who deploy the company, the money we give them. And there are very interesting questions. For example, why do certain companies always win in certain regions? Why are certain contracts very long, or certain consortia they always apply and they win? And every single notice has basically a story, and for you it's to uncover the stories, and you can really go on like a data scientist in the beginning and the journalist then in the second part. And I think there's a lot to find. And we are very excited to see what you're coming up with. And with that, I would like to thank Laura for her presentation and for everyone who's joined. And we see you next week, hopefully, for the next webinar.